Hello, this is the Livestock Insight Report Update. I'm Nicola from AgriHQ. Let's chat about what was in last week's Livestock Insight reports. Firstly, there was a weather bomb. I'm sure you noticed, you couldn't really miss it. West Otago took the largest hit. There were 2 metre snow drifts and they claimed 10 to 15% of lambs in the area. Things were also pretty dire in the Catlins and the Southland. Particularly a little bit later on when the snow melt clashed with the heavy rain, and we're seeing flooding down there currently. It's been a pretty tough season with COVID and government regulations and now the weather. So morale's looking pretty low in Otago and Southland as well as other areas. So please reach out to the Rural Support Trust if you need help. And I guess on a positive note, we can say that the current weather situation probably illustrates to the powers that be that hard and fast laws around crop sowing dates may not be that helpful. Back to the report on the beef page, we have the US market trying to bid down prices for manufacturing beef. Making some successes there, they're probably just a little too early given our supply is very low. But the US does have a near monopoly on 95cl beef bull grinding beef. Our hope is that China is going to re-enter the market and provide that competitive tension that we saw last season. At this point, it looks a little unlikely just given the large volumes of South American beef that are in the Chinese markets. We've got the farm gate beef schedule, beef prices. They're holding steady in the South Island. They're easing in the North Island. The difference between those islands is the supply of finished cattle. We're still in a little bit of a winter lull down here in the South Island, but there were some cattle backlogs last week, mainly due to some weather interruptions in Otago and Southland, but we are starting to see the supply of killable cattle coming on. The store cattle market was soft to dismal throughout the country. Store cattle sales weren't even operating in Otago and Southland as it wasn't safe to truck stock. But we saw a fair bit of nervousness throughout the rest of New Zealand. What's good on the sheep page? We've got, now it's October, so mouthing inspections are underway. Quite a few processors aren't offering a hogget schedule, as it's quite a hard item to place on the export markets. You know, once we get to these larger cuts of hoggets, basically the export markets would tend to prefer mutton in that case. Processors are on the lookout for mutton to fill the gaps in the lamb supply. So the mutton schedule lifted in the South Island, and there were also some spring mutton contracts available in both the North Island and the South Island. On the store sheep side of things, the ewes with lambs at foot market is softening. We're also getting close to those new season lambs coming on board in the store market, and most buyers would prefer to buy those over a ewe with some unweaned lambs. There's also ongoing considerations around feed levels. It doesn't feel like there's many regions out there that have surplus feed, particularly in the South Island. We also had a piece in the report about the lamb export markets. There was a lift in the average lamb export value heading from July to August, which is encouraging. But when you give it a closer look, the dynamics are a little bit suspect. So that seems to be driven by exporters offloading stored cuts, such as lamb racks. In the off-season, we would need to see some sustained interest in those cuts as supplies lift. That's what we need to turn the situation around, and we're not there yet. Looking across to Australia, we saw the processors in Victoria. They cut a break last week and they're allowed to increase production, not to 100%, but a lot higher than what they were before. And that's because they're starting to get on top of that Victorian COVID-19 outbreak. So looking to this week's report and what might be in it, we're expecting to see the export statistics for September this week, so our analysts will get stuck into that when that arrives. We're going to take a closer look at the store cattle market situation. As I said before, that's looking worrying. And since we're approaching mid-October, it's time to start crossing our fingers for strong orders from China for their New Year holidays. So we will take a look at that as well, along with the usual store, slaughter and export prices that you'll see in every report. So that'll be in your inbox on Friday if you're a subscriber. If you aren't a subscriber, we have an October promotion where you can get a free trial subscription to any of our reports. So head along to agrihq.co.nz to check that out.